see how those rookie quarterbacks fared in week 1 of the preseason. Caleb Williams, number 1 overall pick, made his preseason debut against the Bills on Saturday. And watch this. He's going to feel the pressure. Didn't panic at all, just kind of dumps it off to DeAndre Swift. That's a big play for the Bears. 42 yards, that would lead to a field goal. How about the next drive? A little play action here for Williams. And how about this throw to Cole Kmet? Wow, I mean, that is pinpoint accuracy. He went 4 for 7, 95 yards in just 2 drives of action, but the Bears saw plenty to be even more excited about Williams in that first preseason game.
No question. Bears are going to open with the Titans, Jaden Daniels, and the Commanders are going to open at Tampa. What a year it's been. Mike, who could have thought it? A year ago at this time, this guy would be the 2nd overall pick. He would have won the Heisman Trophy. He has had quite the ascension. Completions over 30 air yards. The Commanders could not get anything going deep through the air last year. Maybe Daniels gives them that dimension. We also know he can run it. Pretty varied day. Again, it counts for real at Tampa in September.
J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings taking on the Raiders. That's Justin Jefferson watching from the sidelines, and he was in full cheerleader mode. McCarthy, 45 yards on the pitch and catch here to Tristan Jackson. First preseason touchdown pass. And Justin Jefferson, by the way, mic'd up in the 3rd quarter. Take a listen to this. Hey, Jefferson knows a quality throw in football when he sees one. Very next drive, McCarthy, play action. Trent Sherfield, wide open, 2nd touchdown pass. And guess who was loving what he was seeing? Yes, number 18 in purple. Two touchdowns, 1 pick for McCarthy, 11 of 17. He threw for 188.
And then, of course, Bo Nix, who Sean Payton said would already get the start in preseason game number 2 against the Packers. He wanted to make the most of preseason game number 1. 15 for 21, 125 yards and a touchdown. He led 4 scoring drives. He'll be the starter sooner or later. Broncos fans hope it'll be sooner.
And Tim Hasselbeck still hanging out with us here on SportsCenter. All right, Tim, so Sunday wraps up week 1 of the NFL preseason. And as usual, so much attention on the rookie quarterbacks making their preseason debuts. From what you saw, what stood out to you, maybe the best moments from this class?
You know, I would just say this to start. I would say I think it was generally a positive experience for all of the quarterbacks. You know, it was uneventful for Drake May, sure, but I think you definitely saw the explosiveness of Caleb Williams. You saw J.J. McCarthy's athletic ability take over. We saw Bo Nix do some really good things offensively. And I think Jaden Daniels probably be the guy that stuck out to me the most. Gets an explosive play in the passing game. And then, you know, we've heard so much, you know, in terms of the comparison to how electric he can be with the ball in his hands as a runner, get down in the red zone as a walk-in touchdown. So I think that the takeaway is that Jaden Daniels certainly looked comfortable. That was definitely a bright spot in terms of the rookie quarterbacks, but ultimately probably a pretty good debut for all of them.
All right, so that's week 1. Now we head into week 2 of the preseason. And from your perspective, obviously as a former player, but also give it the fans at home something to look forward to, what should we expect, or what should be maybe something to look forward to specifically here in week 2?
Well, I think that, you know, the growth of players, especially young players from week 1 to week 2, we certainly can apply this to the quarterbacks. We know it's more vanilla in the preseason in terms of the defensive looks you get, in terms of the lack of game planning going into a preseason game. But it does ratchet up as you go along in the preseason. And so how guys handle, you know, from week 1 to week 2, you know, do they get a little more confident? Do they, you know, test the tight window throw a little bit more? Do you start to do things like that? And I think that we'll see that with probably more snaps for all these young quarterbacks. And I think that's the exciting part of it, especially if you're a fan of one of these teams that has a pretty good feeling you're going to be starting a rookie quarterback at least at some point this season.
Yeah, as you said earlier, we've seen so many small sample sizes. To get a few more snaps, we'll have a better idea of how good that plate might be for those respective rookies. Tim Hasselbeck, appreciate you, brother. Trey Lance and Stetson Bennett preseason. That's because we couldn't have Matthew Stafford or Jimmy Garoppolo for the Rams. We did get Trey Lance for Dallas, obviously no Dak Prescott, and Lance was all over the place. Kelvin Harmon, big first down there, 25 of 41, 188 yards, no touchdowns. But for Stetson Bennett, though, Rams down 9-6, 5 minutes to go, and he is picked off by Brock Mogensen. That was the 4th interception for Bennett in the game. But look, he comes right back out there. They're down 12-6 now, final seconds, under pressure. Avoids the pressure. How about that sidearm throw by the former Georgia standout to Miller Forrestall for the touchdown? And the Rams get it done, 13-12.
Little drama here, Mike, before the game. Got a little bit of a plot twist from Jerry Jones on the CeeDee Lamb situation. Just about 3 days after saying there was no real urgency in getting the wide receiver a new deal extension, holdout status remains. A remark that indeed Lamb responded to on social media. A different tone was struck by Jerry before kickoff.
I think I got in trouble a little the other day when I said, look, we're not urgent about CeeDee. Well, no one appreciates CeeDee being on the field any more than I do. Now, I understand completely the angst that's happening when you're anxious about and someone says anything about whether you're missed or not. Well, CeeDee, you're missed, okay? But you're not missed out here competing, and it doesn't put any pressure any place on us.
That's like a 180 in 3 days. All right, if you haven't made the playoffs since the 2015 season, anything, even a rookie in his preseason opener can get a fan base fired up. Bo Nix led the Broncos on 4 scoring drives in a win over the Colts. And as our Stephen Holder reports, hold on, Sean Payton not ready to announce anything of consequence just yet in Denver.
The Broncos entered Sunday's game against the Colts hoping to gain some clarity about their quarterback situation. By the end of Sunday's win over Indianapolis, they were no closer to deciding on their starter. Coach Sean Payton walked away feeling optimistic about things after Denver's 279 yards passing. Broncos quarterbacks Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix, and Zach Wilson avoided any sacks in the game despite running 81 plays, including 41 pass attempts. That, Payton said, was a pronounced issue for Denver last season. Rookie Bo Nix performed particularly well in extensive playing time, completing 71% of his 21 pass attempts. Nix used mobility to elude the pass rush and threw well on the run. He said, quote, "When plays break down, it's important to be able to extend plays. You never know when you'll need it." In Indianapolis, Stephen Holder, ESPN.
Let's go big picture here, because you mentioned Sean Payton. Year 2 now, they're in Denver, and he clearly has a quarterback now that he wanted, because he was obviously involved in that draft selection. Yeah. And just what you showed us there and how this offense is already fitting the skill set of Bo Nix, what would be your assessment of their season outlook?
Yeah, well, I think I would start with this, Michael, and you basically said it. I think Bo Nix is going to be the guy. I think we all obviously knew that, but I think it happens right away based on the early impressions. And then I think for Sean Payton, clearly he's evolved. Like, this was not the offense that you saw in New Orleans when he was the head coach. And I know it's just one preseason game, but plays like this in terms of the athleticism that Bo Nix was able to show, I think has kind of brought Sean Payton to say, all right, these are the things we're going to do with a young quarterback. We'll let that kind of show itself. Let that take over. And so I think that's a good thing in terms of the development and growth of what we probably will see from the Broncos offense this season, especially compared to a year ago when clearly it just wasn't the right match.
I mean, that's why you have training camp and a preseason to establish an identity for your team and your specific team's offense, defense. And it seems like, even though it's one game, as you said, there's a clear identity for what they want to do in offense with Bo Nix as a quarterback. All right, Tim, sit tight because we want to get your take on Anthony Richardson from the other side of this game. Yeah, because Sunday was a significant moment for Richardson. Second-year quarterback seeing his first game action since suffering that season-ending shoulder injury last October. But he wasn't out there long, finishing just 2 of 4 for 25 yards, 1 rush for 1 yard. Afterwards, though, he spoke to our Stephen Holder about what it meant just to be back out there.
Just a bunch of happiness. I just took it all in. When I was out here warming up, I was just thinking about it. I'm blessed, to be able to come back, after my injury. Just being back out here with my teammates, it meant a lot to me.
With you back in the lineup, what do you think is the ceiling for this offense?
Man, I don't think there is one, honestly, because Coach Shane, he finds so many different ways just to get guys open, get guys the ball. And he's great at scheming against the defense. So, with the weapons we have, the guys we have, I don't think there's any ceiling. We just got to execute and just make it happen.
So again, the season was cut short, but in that limited time, Richardson was making plays. He scored 4 rushing touchdowns over his first 3 career games. That's the most of any quarterback in NFL history to begin a career. As promised, Tim's still hanging out with us. All right, so Anthony Richardson only had 2 drives worth of action in this game, but from what you saw, what did it tell you?
Yeah, I think it was still encouraging, Michael. You're right. Small sample size, once again, which we're accustomed to in the preseason. But I actually thought he saw things well. And I say that just because, on one pass play, the protection gets blitzed. He does a good job of getting the football out. And he doesn't complete it, but he was going to the right spot. He certainly wasn't, antsy with it. And so I think that, in terms of just seeing it, we have to remember, this is a guy that didn't start a ton of games in college, only started 4 games last year. And so with that, I think we still have to look at him as a young, developing player, even though we were encouraged by what we saw, just a year ago. So I thought he actually saw it well. I think it makes sense to play him in the preseason. And I think just getting him comfortable as you head into the season is the right move, and the Colts seem to be handling it the right way.
Yeah, only 4 games you mentioned started, not quite a rookie, but maybe rookie and a half as he gets into year 2. Tim's going to sit back a little bit longer because we have much more from him. Kind of put a bow on what we saw in week 1 of the NFL preseason, but also look ahead to week 2.